2024 election. So let's get into it. At number 8, Elon Musk holds a sweepstakes for Trump voters. So this is very interesting. At first, this event, something seemed off about it. And there is a connection to when you go into Steven Spoonemore's Substack, and you also go into the other Planet Critical article, they bring this up because Elon Musk wanted 2 pieces of information from these voters. He wanted their name and he wanted their address. And that's all he wanted. He didn't want a phone number or nothing else. And what they talk about is that he probably created a second e-poll book with all of these names and addresses. And I won't get into it now. Hold on. I won't get into it right now, but it's something to keep in mind when each of these is a puzzle piece, and when you go back and you're looking at the full puzzle and you're putting everything together, this is an important piece of it. So it's something to keep in mind. Just hang on to it for later, because that data, I believe, is an important part of this whole thing. So, next one is number 9. There were bomb threats made by Russia on election day. And what happened is that they called precincts in swing states, and there were bomb threats made. And I'm sure most of you know, if you're in the United States, you know that when something like this happens, they have to clear out the whole building, including election workers and voters. And there's also something called chain of custody. So online, whenever I would hear about people talking about these bomb threats happening, they also would tend to bring up something called chain of custody, because part of the security is keeping certain people within a certain distance of ballots, and by this happening, it breaks the chain of custody. And so that's an important point to keep in mind, is that what Republicans would want you to think is that these were something that happened, but it's not connected. These things are not connected to each other. Like, it was just something that Russia did, but it wasn't anything to do with the election. But it totally is. It's all connected. So that's why it's entered into this list. Number 10. At Trump's rally, he said to either Elon or Mike Johnson or somebody off the stage, he said he had a little secret. At the time, it didn't make any sense, but now that we are putting the puzzle pieces together, there's certain events and certain things that people said that raises your eyebrows, and you realize there may be some connection to it. So I added it to my list. Number 11. Trump said, we don't need the votes many times. He said, we have so many votes, you won't have to vote. You won't have to vote after this election. As he got closer to the election, he said, we have so many votes, we don't need votes. You guys don't have to vote anymore. And again, at the time, it didn't make any sense. But now, it makes a lot of sense now. These guys just cannot help themselves. They are telling on themselves if you listen to what they say. And you really want to go up to them and you want to say, what does that mean? But you know they're liars, so you'll never get the truth out of them. If you would ask them why, the answer they would give would not be the truth, because that's not what they do. We know who they are. So, next. Another thing to note, on my list, I tried to pull all the things that were before Election Day up above where it says Election Day. So all of these items, hopefully I got them in the right, they're not in the right order, but they're in the category of stuff that happened before Election Day. So these were things Trump was saying on the campaign, in his rallies, and it's something that people bring up as kind of weird things that have happened. Next, Elon was in an interview with Tucker Carlson, and he said, if Trump doesn't get elected, I will go to prison. And they laughed about it, but I don't think it's funny. They think it's funny, like laugh it off, but it's such a weird thing to say, and at the time it doesn't make sense, and then now looking back on it, it makes a lot of sense. Again, you would ask, why did he say that? I think the reason he said it is because he is somehow involved, and if Trump's not elected and the government finds out what happened and what his involvement was, he will go to prison. So, and if Trump does get elected, then it's not going to be investigated and Elon's not going to go to prison. That's the way I look at it. Number 13. Elon says anything can be hacked when talking about the election voter machines. So he said this, I believe it was a person from India that he was on a panel with talking about it, and I think the guy from India was saying like they can't be hacked, like it's secure. And Elon's being like cocky and is like anything can be hacked. And I'm sure many people have heard that. And at the time, this was way before Election Day, and at the time he said it relating to 2020. But now when you look at 2024, all of a sudden it just becomes more clear that he is basically admitting that he has the ability to hack these systems. And that connects back to Stephen Spoonemore and everything he is explaining. Basically, both of them are saying it can be done. To anyone saying it's secure, it can't be done, here are two very smart computer election security experts saying it absolutely can be done. Next, 14. Michael Flynn predicts potential violence if election results aren't known immediately. He said this about a week before Election Day. So, what I'm taking from this is that Michael Flynn wants results. He wants it to come out right away, and he doesn't want recounts. He wants to be able to call the election, and he wants it done as fast as possible. Well, as you know, on a lot of times the race is not even called on Election Day. So, actually, I'm going to add an item Election was called at 10:18 p.m. I'm adding an item like live right now because election was called early, and I'm going to go over that in a second. I'm sorry, this is live on video. This is a live recording right now. So I apologize, but I am going to just go ahead and edit this. Obviously, I am not a professional video editor, so you guys are seeing the full video. 34. 32, 33, 34. All right, sorry about that. So we're at right before election day. Michael Flynn wants elections known immediately. It seems small, but I'm going to show you how this fits into it. So, number 15. Elon has been talking to Russia and government officials within the Russian government since 2022. Before the election, I think it was the Wall Street Journal, but there was reporting that came out that Elon Musk has connections to Russia. So this is another piece about how Russia fits into this. And on my list, I do not even have all of the Russia connections because there's a lot. And there's a whole chunk of the puzzle that's related to Russia, and I have a couple items, but it can certainly be explored even further that I didn't get into. So now, the first 15 items are all the items before Election Day. So now, we're up to Election Day. So this is part 2. I'm going to stop the video for part 2, and I'll see you in the next part.